What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Sunday, the 4th of January, 2026. I hope you are having a fantastic time. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what's going on with Canton Network, give you an update. What is Canton? What are the unique features? And I just want to give my 2 cents on this situation with Venezuela. So let's just start there. Trump said the US will extract tremendous oil wealth from Venezuela. Listen, this is a masterstroke. Whether you are pro-US or anti-US, whatever your feelings, you have to give it to the guy, okay? This is America's backyard. This is America's, what we call their sphere of influence. Their Ukraine or similar, right? Or them kind of like, you know, America's been coming into the Middle East for a very long time for oil. But what America really needs, and I did do a video about this, America requires heavy industrial crude. That stuff, you'll only find that in 2 places in heavy quantities. Canada, which has obviously put the import tax and export tax a lot higher, and the other place is Venezuela. Now, whether you agree with what Trump has done, you can't deny the fact that this was an operation of unbelievable. I mean, you know, you could sit down and watch a movie by the time this was completed, showing American military might and supremacy. People will not like the fact that I'm saying this was the best chess move for America. Why? It goes beyond just simple cross-border aggression. International law, there is no such thing, guys. We are dealing with a single power, single superpower. Well, and America, if it decides to do these sort of operations, I think does conduct them and does do them. Now, this reminds me of course, for those of you that are old enough to remember, of course, I was a child at the time, but Maduro's capture draws echoes of Noriega. Now, America has had a history of intervention within South and Central America. Like I said, it's a superpower. It is their sphere of influence. This could impact us in 2 ways. One, it could give Taiwan the signal that is more of the dangerous theater where things like microchips and computer hardware could be jeopardized in terms of supply chain. But we know China is paying attention. And for anyone who's saying, oh, this is going to be worse than what's already happening right now, Venezuela does not, you know, contribute to the global output of oil significantly. Their infrastructure is dilapidated. They've not used their resources very well. And I could see a massive boom coming for that area. You know, everybody's, you know, it's going to be a storm in a teacup. At the end of the day, you have the greatest power in the world who's able to execute, get this oil. And this could be good for the markets long term. Because, of course, they're going to flood the markets with heavy oil that is required for industrial output. If you look at America's refineries, most of them are designed for this heavy type of crude, not the shale stuff. And of course, this drives China back into the Middle East to buy oil here. There will be an oil boom in the Middle East once again. And in terms of the long term, apart from the Taiwan question, because, you know, you got to ask yourself, the Chinese were there the night before this event, and obviously nothing happened, right? Chinese are incredibly patient. They are a strategic people. They think in the long term. And of course, China's demand for US Treasury continues to remain small. So I would say overall, well done, Trump. I know it's against the typical emotional line where people say, oh, this is against international law. Yes, it is. But there is no such thing as international law. There's a superpower. And of course, Venezuela gets a puppet government, a US-friendly government, and they start to produce and at least help their people. Because anyone who says, yeah, you can have a permanent revolution like the Chavez one and your people don't suffer, this should be a top 5, top 10 global economies by GDP. There are technicalities in terms of how that oil is extracted, but this particular vast amount of wealth, the largest crude oil reserves in the world, should see something positive for their people. So well done, Mr. President, for taking action. And of course, these are the kind of metrics we're dealing with. Unless China then attacks Taiwan, the markets should be able to stabilize with this news. Of course, the European Union, the big blocks have already come out and said, oh, it's a consensus, right? It's no one's going to do anything about this, right? If you ain't got your Air Force like with F-16s, F-35s, just shut the F up and let's continue moving forward, because I think the Venezuelan people will benefit in the long term. That's my 2 cents on the situation. Now, a few months ago, I did a video, a couple of months ago, actually, at the height of the fear. And I said, look, Canton should be watched. I bought a tiny little, I regret not buying more, but at the time, hey, $5 billion, 21 million in volume. This was actually one of the most interesting purchases I've made. And I wish I would have bought more at 6 cents. However, we are still very early. So let me explain what this whole thing is about with Canton. So it's a blockchain infrastructure designed specifically for institutional finance with several distinctive characteristics. One, it's privacy first. It uses what's called need to know privacy model, where the transactions are and data is only shared with directly involved parties. So no other third parties, only those that are directly involved with the specific transaction is made aware. Now, it is obviously, that is going to be quite relevant, critical for institutions dealing with sensitive financial data, okay? And they have plenty of institutions. I mean, I'm talking about who's who of financial institutions. Interoperable by design, Canton connects independent applications called Canton nodes into a unified network without requiring them to be shared on common ledger. Now, that's quite key for, again, institutions can run their own nodes while still transacting automatically with others on a cross-chain network. It allows traditional finance players to maintain control over the overall infrastructure while participating in a broader ecosystem. It's built on something called DAML, smart contracts, right? It's purpose-built contract language developed by Digital Asset. DAML is designed for the financial workflows. You see, it's basically specifically finance consensus related, right? And again, it doesn't need global consensus. So overall, and I'll get you to watch a clip here. It doesn't really need global consensus. Institutional backing. Now, it had some crazy institutions on my research first time round, including Goldman Sachs and BNY Mellon, Microsoft, Deloitte, JP Morgan. The list continues. And it has regulation. It's designed to meet compliance and regulation, of course. It is a standard business at the moment. But what is really unique about this blockchain, doing further research on this, is something called, in terms of their tokenomics design, I'll just get to they have a unique mechanism where they actually not only build this for institutions, traditional blockchains like Solana, Ethereum design, core philosophy, as of course, these guys are just saying, look, everything we do, we're going to do it specifically for private institutions. And of course, there is this mechanism called Burn Mint Equilibrium, BME explained. So Canton's most clever tokenomics mechanism, and it's genuinely completely different from anything that we've seen with other blockchains. So basic concept is, think of it like, for example, what is the circulating right now? They've got 36 billion. Again, none of this is financial advice. I'm just making you aware what really this is. So what you have is 36 billion and you have total supply there. Of course, here there is a max supply, and I believe the number is 100 billion. Okay. So over time, and I think that is over many years, whenever you see that little symbol there, that is a infinite or more supply. But the burn mechanism, okay, so the burn is the drain token, when you drain tokens leaving supply, okay? So burn is equal to minus supply, right? So they are taking out of supply. You guys know this already. Now, mint, on the other hand, is when you create tokens. So entering the network are new tokens, okay? And then equilibrium, or E, equals, right? Our water level stabilizes. Basically, it is the equilibrium of supply and demand, right? So that balance there has to have an equilibrium. And this is why crypto normally network activity increases, tokens get burned, and more tokens get minted as rewards. When activity decreases, both slow down, the system self-regulates. And I think that is one of the key facts of what I actually found. So the burn side, every time someone uses the global synchronizer, it executes the transaction, moves the assets between the apps. They pay a fee. These fees are then denominated in USDT or USD, but paid in Canton coin, and they are burnt, meaning permanently removed from circulation. The more network usage there is, the more fees that the network accrues, the more tokens are burnt. Now, the mint side, every 10 minutes, a new Canton coin can be minted. Hence this supply, infinite supply, and you need to be very wary of that. Can be minted, participant based on the utility they are provided. These could be like super validators, 35% for running their infrastructure, application builders 50%, and creating apps to generate activity. Users, of course, get 15% for transactions and engaging. The more network usage equals basically more burns, right? Or more rewards available through the system. So Canton targets approximately 2.5 million coins issued and burned annually, naturally, to find this balance. So imagine, 2.5 target, so 2.5 billion coins must be burned annually. So every 12 months, you must be able to burn that. That information is ridiculous. I mean, it does make a difference. It's beyond deflationary, in my opinion, because the system is consistently trying to balance its books by doing this. Now, the genuine part, most chains and token prices are driven by speculation and narrative. On Canton, the burn mechanism means that the token value fundamentally is linked to how much of the network is actually being used, right? So nobody uses Canton. There's minimum burns, excess supply, price pressure is ultimately down. If the institution's flooding, heavy burning, supply constraints, price pressure builds up. Very easy to know what you're getting involved in. And of course, USD dominated fees remove volatility and anxiety. Now, what we see here is the convergence of RWA. Again, you can use this as a narrative where you build your own kind of intelligence based on what Canton has done. Maybe Canton is the first coin to move in this section. Maybe it will not be the last to innovate RWA, as well as stable coins and privacy all into one. But it does give you a fundamental benchmark of where crypto is going in terms of use case, right? So this is exactly why I think building a level of intelligence, and I just want you to check this.
Those who got in early. For years, blockchains rewarded those who got in early, while builders and users were left behind. Canton flips the script. Introducing Cantonomics, the tokenomics powering a fairer network. 2/3 of rewards flow straight to builders and users, those creating real network value. So, what is Canton Coin? It's Canton Network's native utility token, the fuel that powers and rewards the ecosystem. For builders, it's a revenue model that scales. Charge transaction fees, earn continuously, reward loyalty, and drive transparency into network value, all while preserving privacy. Cantonomics rewards utility, not speculation, recognizing builders and users who create real value. The more useful your app, the more you earn. Build, earn, scale, repeat. That's the flywheel of real utility, and it's sustainable by design. a burn and mint balance that keeps supply aligned with real demand. When app fees are burned, new coins are minted, keeping the system naturally in check. Discover and build apps. Powered by Cantonomics. Canton, where finance flows.
Now, what you got to understand, guys, is the historic market cap here is quite interesting. So when we look at a value of a chain, and we see here, the debut here was a valuation of pretty much where it is at 5.3 billion. The lowest that we got in, 2.6 billion. And of course, 2 billion was the floor. So this is not a micro cap. This is something to add to your watch list. It's a $5 billion cryptocurrency. We don't know whether it's going to get on Binance or Coinbase or whatever. So you've got to have a strategic knowledge. Take the knowledge I'm giving you today, use it to find the next Canton. Do not FOMO here. None of this is financial advice. But what we're seeing is an intersection between institutions, RWAs, right? We're seeing stable coins, RWAs, and privacy all intersecting in one chain. Now, like I said, I've bought a small bag as to test my portfolio from the bottom. Wish I would have added more, but long term, I will be looking into finding the next major mover here. And I think we're still incredibly early, of course, for an asset like this. So anyway, smash a like, guys. I hope I've given you a bit more about the burn mint equilibrium on Canton. And I hope you obviously take my views on the Venezuela situation positively, because at the end of the day, other dictators will be watching what's going on there. And they'll be definitely, you know, when America does something good, we've got to big up the American empire. When something bad happens, we've got to call it out. But this is a really good thing, in my opinion. And of course, I could be wrong. But if Taiwan kicks off, then we will have a dramatic consequences in the market, in my opinion. Maybe that was the agreement. Nobody knows. Smash a like and I'll catch you on the next one. God bless you.